Hey guys, Crazy Heli Dude here from the Heli Skunk Works, and I just wanted to do this quick video on how to do a proper flashlight review, or torch as it's often called across the pond. What I find is that many people, they don't set the auto exposure correctly on their camera when they're doing a flashlight review, which is actually very important, because if you don't turn off your auto exposure, you're not going to get, it's hard to tell 20 lumens from 2000, because what happens is that your camera, when the auto exposure or auto iris is on, it's always going to compensate. So when it sees a really bright light hitting something, it's going to darken. Alright, so the more you pump up the light output from your flashlight, it's just the camera's going to compensate, and it's going to, the aperture is going to close down, or not the aperture, but the exposure is going to go down, and it's going to just make the light look basically about the same brightness. And I'm going to give you an example of that right now. I was just holding up here, I have, this is a Fenix Tk35, which some of you are probably familiar with. Good light. This one here is just one of the eBay LEDs. It's eBay, it's an XML LED in here, zoomable. You can change the beam focus. I'd say this thing puts out about, realistically, out of the front, it puts about 350 lumens, maybe 400. It was advertised as much higher on eBay as all of the, the eBay or Chinese lights are, but I'd say about 350 lumens out of the front, maybe 300, 350, something like that. The Fenix puts out a real, on its highest setting, it puts out 860, and that's out of the front, and that's a pretty accurate figure. Anyway, the outputs of the Fenix are as follows. It starts at, I believe, don't quote me on this, I'm going to be a little off, but on low it's about 15 lumens. Next setting would be around 125. I think the next setting is 350, and then you go up to the full 860 output. But let's get on with the test. I'm going to start it out on the slowest. The camera is on auto exposure. I'm going to start out with its lowest setting. Alright, that's on the wall, and I'm holding it a few feet back here. I'm going to step up the power. See how the camera compensates? Everything around the beam profile, the hot spot's getting darker. The camera's clamping down with its auto exposure. There's the next setting. Again, the camera, you can't hardly tell the difference. And here's the highest setting, 860 lumens. Camera goes down once again. Alright, so that's really no good. So I'm going to go back to low. There's low, and the camera comes back up with its exposure. Turn this off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the auto exposure. Give me a moment here. Okay, now I have the auto exposure set to manual. And notice that I'm starting it out kind of dark. I mean, for this particular test, in fact, I'm going to start it out really dark. But watch what happens. Here's the Fenix again. The camera will not auto-compensate since it's on manual. There's the low setting. Next setting up, I think that's 125 some lumens. 350, I believe. And then up to its highest mode, 860. So, the camera being on manual exposure, you can actually tell the difference in the brightness output of any flashlight. The only time this might not apply is if you're doing very long or extremely long beam shots where the auto exposure might not matter that much. But if you're doing any kind of, you want to show the beam profile, it's indoors, it's close up, you want to make sure that your auto exposure is off and you're on manual exposure. By the way, the only person I've seen who, so far anyway, who actually does this is Marshall of Going Gear. If you're into flashlights at all, you probably know about goinggear.com and you've seen his YouTube channel. He's the only person I've seen who actually does what I've just done, and I commented on one of his videos about that. So anyway, there's a tip for when you want to do flashlight reviews. Make sure that your camera is on manual exposure. And whatever, you might want to start with the exposure turned down like I did, but whatever exposure it's at, you want to have it on manual. So again, this is Rob, Crazy Heli Dude from Heli Skunk Works. Take care, and we'll talk to you later. Bye bye.